Every biological process in a cell begins with information, how it's stored, how it's read, and how it's turned into action. In microbes, these processes happen with incredible speed and efficiency, making genetics the key to understanding how these organisms grow, adapt, and survive. Hi, and welcome back to my channel, Learning Biology with Dr. Vanessa, where I take difficult biological concepts and make them easy to understand. In this video, we'll build the foundation of microbial genetics by walking through the basics of DNA and RNA, how genetic information flows through transcription and translation, and how these processes differ between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Genetics is the study of how biological information is stored, expressed, and passed on from one generation to the next. Every organism has a genome, which is the complete set of genetic material in a cell. In most bacteria, the genome consists of a single circular chromosome made of DNA, though bacteria may also carry extra DNA in the form of plasmids. In eukaryotic microorganisms, the DNA is linear. While all prokaryotic and eukaryotic microorganisms use DNA as their genome, viruses can contain either DNA or RNA. A gene is a specific segment of DNA that contains the instructions for making a functional product, usually a protein. When genes are expressed, these products influence how cells function, and together they shape the traits we can observe. Not all genes serve the same role in the cell. Structural genes encode proteins that carry out specific cellular tasks, such as enzymes or structural components. Genes that code for RNA machinery produce functional RNAs, including rRNA and tRNA, which are essential for protein synthesis, but are not translated into proteins themselves. Regulatory genes encode products that control the expression of other genes, determining when and how much protein or RNA is produced. Together, these genes, all the information that is encoded in an organism's DNA, make up the organism's genotype. The phenotype is the observable expression of that information, such as cell shape, metabolism, or antibiotic resistance. Importantly, phenotype is influenced not only by genes, but also by environmental conditions. An organism's genotype often includes more genes than are actively expressed, so the phenotype reflects only the genes that are turned on at a given time. Many genes are regulated and expressed only under specific conditions or stages of growth. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the molecule that stores all of a cell's genetic information. It consists of two complementary strands arranged in a double helix. Each strand is made of nucleotides composed of a deoxyribose sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. The four nitrogenous bases, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, pair specifically with one another, such that adenine pairs with thymine and cytosine pairs with guanine through weak hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds hold the two DNA strands together, but are weak enough to allow the molecule to unzip when the cell needs access to genetic information. This information provides the blueprint that guides cell structure, function, and reproduction. DNA replication is the process by which a cell copies its DNA before division. This process is semi-conservative, meaning each new DNA molecule contains one original strand and one newly synthesized strand. DNA replication is carried out by DNA polymerase III. DNA polymerase III is unable to begin synthesizing a chain of nucleotides on its own, so it relies on the enzyme primase, which synthesizes short RNA primers that provide a starting point for DNA synthesis, a place for the DNA polymerase to bind to. DNA polymerase can only add nucleotides in the 5' to 3' direction, so as a result, replication occurs a bit differently on the two strands. The leading strand is synthesized continuously toward the replication fork, while the lagging strand is synthesized discontinuously away from the fork in short segments called Okazaki fragments. DNA ligase will then seal the gaps between the fragments. The cell copies its DNA when it's getting ready to replicate itself. Another way DNA can be used is to be converted into protein following the central dogma of biology, from DNA to RNA to protein. Transcription is the process of making RNA from a DNA template, and translation is the process of using that RNA to build proteins. Exceptions to this pattern include RNA viruses converting RNA to other RNA and retroviruses converting RNA to DNA. During transcription, the enzyme RNA polymerase binds to a specific region of DNA called the promoter region and uses one strand as a template to synthesize a complementary RNA molecule by adding nucleotides in the 5' to 3' direction. This process follows base pairing rules, with the key difference that RNA incorporates uracil instead of thymine. When RNA polymerase reaches the stop codon, transcription stops. Transcription allows the information stored in DNA to be transferred into a form that the cell can use to make proteins or perform other essential functions. RNA, or ribonucleic acid, is single-stranded, contains the sugar ribose instead of deoxyribose, and uses the nitrogenous base uracil in place of thymine. Uracil pairs with adenine during RNA synthesis, just as thymine does in DNA. RNA acts as the working copy of genetic information. While DNA stores long-term genetic instructions in the genome, RNA molecules carry out those instructions by helping build proteins or performing functional roles themselves. The three main types of RNA involved in protein synthesis are messenger RNA, mRNA, which carries the genetic code from DNA to the ribosome, ribosomal RNA, or rRNA, which forms the structural and functional core of the ribosome, and transfer RNA, or tRNA, which brings the correct amino acids to the ribosome during protein assembly. Translation is the process by which the information carried in messenger RNA is used to build a protein. It takes place at the ribosome, which is made of two subunits, a small subunit which binds to the mRNA and helps read its sequence, and a large subunit which supplies enzymes for linking amino acids together with peptide bonds. The mRNA sequence is read in groups of 3 nucleotides called codons. Transfer RNA molecules act as adapters, matching their anticodons to mRNA codons and delivering the correct amino acids to the growing protein. Each mRNA codon corresponds to a specific amino acid according to the genetic code, which is nearly universal across all organisms. The genetic code is redundant, meaning that multiple codons can specify the same amino acid. This redundancy helps protect cells from errors because some changes in DNA or mRNA do not alter the amino acid being added to the protein. A key difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes is how transcription and translation are organized. In bacteria, both processes occur in the cytoplasm and can happen simultaneously. As soon as an mRNA strand begins to form, ribosomes can attach and start translating it. This lack of compartmentalization allows bacteria to produce proteins quickly and respond rapidly to environmental changes. In eukaryotes, transcription occurs in the nucleus and translation occurs in the cytoplasm. Although the start codon is AUG in both systems, it codes for formal methionine, or FMET, in prokaryotes and just methionine, MET, in eukaryotes. In addition, eukaryotic genes contain introns and exons, and those introns must be removed through RNA splicing before the mature mRNA can exit the nucleus and be translated. Eukaryotic cells often modify proteins after translation through processes called post-translational modifications. This helps to activate, fold, or direct proteins to specific locations, whereas bacteria generally do not rely on these complex modification systems. Now that you've seen how genetic information is stored in DNA, transcribed into RNA, and translated into protein, you can start to appreciate just how coordinated and efficient microbial cells really are. But here's the key question. If every gene can be transcribed and translated, how does the cell decide which ones to use and when? That's where gene regulation comes in. In the next video, we'll build on this foundation and explore how microbes control gene expression, including operons and regulatory systems that allow them to respond rapidly to environmental changes. If you found the content of this video helpful and want to keep learning how microbes affect the body, please make sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so that you never miss out on new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.